so many variations. You know, we could talk about what food to eat. We can talk about when you should eat. We should talk about how you eat. All those things could be classes in themselves practically, but they all kind of come down and zero in on one thing. But we want to talk about emotional eating and basically how do we stop it? How do we stop it? And I don't think there's anybody that doesn't have an issue with emotional eating, all right? Because eating is legal, eating is necessary, and for the most part, eating makes us feel good, all right? And especially in this world that we live in right now, we look for things that make us feel good because there's so many things that make us not feel well, and that's a sad part about our society right now. But eating means whether or not we're healthy or unhealthy, the way we eat, what we eat, and how we eat. So again, I want to reiterate, and one thing that I really, really want to use all the time is this little statement. I don't know if you can see it, but it says, you can't cure, you have to prevent. Okay, and I want to say that again. You cannot cure, you have to prevent. And that means to prevent disease, to prevent poor health means we have to eat properly. We have to do the things that we can do in order to protect ourselves from disease. So most of you have heard me say this before. Don't rely just on supplementation to keep you healthy, because eating overrides supplementation. We have to eat properly. So do you eat to feel better or relieve stress? Okay. Anybody think they eat to relieve stress? And if you do, the problem is that you're not really relieving stress. What you're doing is you're causing more stress, all right? And meaning that you're going to pay for it later. Some people eat wrong and they get sick, they feel miserable. Other people just eat because they're bored. There's many, many reasons why we do what we do, okay? And most of the time we don't always just eat to satisfy our physical hunger, all right? Comfort, stress, to reward ourselves. One of the things I find many times, people will come in, they'll lose a lot of weight, they'll feel fabulous, and what do they want to do? They want to celebrate. They want to reward themselves by eating things that they shouldn't have eaten, things they used to eat. And when they said, oh, I enjoyed it so much when I used to do it, and I want to reward myself. The problem with that is the reward was that you lost the weight, that you felt better, that etc. So what we have to get away from is this idea that we're going to reward. We have to reward ourselves by doing the right thing, not the wrong thing. And it kind of goes back into taking care of yourself. You have to understand, you have to take care of you. As I look at all the people that are on here, if you don't take care of you, you cannot take care of anybody else. How many of you have ever heard somebody say, if you don't love yourself, you can't love anybody else? Okay? We hear it all the time, and it's true. Now, a lot of people say, no, I love lots of people, but it's different. It is not different. We have to start with ourselves, taking care of ourselves, loving ourselves, being good to ourselves before we can truly do that for other people. So we have to get away from the idea of eating to fill emotional needs. We have to eat in order to nourish our bodies, to take care of our health, and that's the reason we eat. And eating bad food never fixes anything. Never will it fix anything. So when you grab that pint of ice cream and you say, you know, I just need this, and I think every one of us would say we've done that at one time or another. I just need to have this ice cream. I need to have this sandwich. I need to have this candy. I've done it, okay? And it's a battle all the time because our brain wants to go back to the way we used to be, or the way our brain said, our subconscious says that it made us feel good. So then after we eat, if you want to raise your hands, you can, but you don't have to. But how many of you have ever eaten wrong and then felt guilty about it? Okay? And you say, whether it's right after you eat it or the next morning, you go, why did I do that? Okay? I didn't need that. So what happened is you just piled on the anxiety because you're saying, I was doing well, I shouldn't have done it, I did it, and then we go, shame on me, bad boy, bad girl, okay? But we have to get away from doing it before we start punishing ourselves. Because if you keep punishing yourself, you forget about that the next time, and you're just building up the anxiety and the frustration and the anxiousness that we have, which makes you turn more and more in order to do it again. So, are you an emotional eater? Okay. So we're going to kind of go through a few things and kind of keep track in your own mind how many of these pertain to you. Do you eat more when you're feeling stress? In other words, when you feel stressed, do you have a tendency to eat more? Do you eat when you're not hungry or when you're already full? How many of you have ever went out to a restaurant, you ate or you did something and you come home and then you open the refrigerator and you eat something? Okay. You're not hungry, but it's habit. Eating becomes a habit, especially when we become stressed or we're emotionally feeling bad. When we're emotional, whether it's pleasant times, whether it's bad times, think about it. That's all we do, no matter what it is think about eating. Do you eat to feel better, to calm yourself, soothe yourself when you're sad, mad, bored, anxious? I know I've heard people say, well, my husband or my wife, if she just would quit doing what she does, I wouldn't do that. That is a cop-out. 100% cop-out, okay? We're blaming somebody else for the things that we don't control about ourselves. There is absolutely no employer that's going to make you eat, no spouse that's going to make you eat, no child that's going to make you eat, okay? We do it and we use that as an excuse. So when we're sad or we're upset with somebody, etc., we want to eat. I think being bored right now, they're saying right now that people, since this quasi-quarantine has happened, the average person has gained 15 pounds in this time. That's devastating to our health, okay? Imagine that, the average 15 pounds. So we've got to understand that when we're bored, we have to find something else. And we'll get a little bit more into that, okay? You reward yourself with food for things that you did well. You know, you had a good day at work, so I'm going to stop and have something to eat that I shouldn't. Do you eat regularly? Do you regularly eat until you've stuffed yourself? Overeat. A lot of this happens when we do things like, and this is one reason I don't like the idea of going 16 hours without eating, which they call intermittent fasting, because what happens is people intermittent fast and then they get to a point where they can eat, they just overdo it and they become stuffed and they don't stop. So that's one of the things that bothers me about that, because people have a tendency to overeat when you can eat. I'll use myself as an example. A lot of days when I'm working, I'll find myself go home and I'll eat way more than I should. So I try to have veggies. So when I do that, it's healthy stuff rather than the unhealthy stuff. So I can cut up a cucumber and just eat 2 cucumbers. That way I know that it hasn't done anything wrong, but yet it kind of satisfies my need to want to eat more than probably I should, okay? Does food make you feel safe, or like food is your friend? A lot of times when people become depressed, they turn to food or in this case, we're talking food, but some people's alcohol, some people's other things, that's their friend. That's the only thing that makes them feel good, that gives them joy, is eating and doing that kind of thing. So we have to understand that we've got to get away from that. We got a lot of other friends. Do you feel powerless or out of control around food? Now this becomes a problem when people go to buffets, parties where the food is just laid out and you can help yourself. We have to be careful because a lot of times when the food is there, we can't control ourselves because it's like, it's there, I need to eat it. If I had $1 for every time somebody has said to me since I've had this business that, I when I go to my grandparents or parents or family, I have to eat because they feel bad if I don't eat. Again, I go back to number 3 there, which talks about, soothing yourself or blaming somebody else. We have a tendency to feel that we're obligated to eat because somebody else cooked it. We have to learn that we have to take care of ourselves. We have to be upfront with people and let them know that, there's certain foods I prefer not to put in my body. And it's okay. I don't believe anybody that cares about you would be upset because you want to take care of yourself. So we have to get into that routine, okay? So the emotional eating cycle, okay, and I'm not going to read it all, but we get into a habit. I call it a habit. It might be called a cycle to some people, but to me, it's a habit. We eat at certain times. We just get into this catch-22, okay? So something happens to you that upsets you, okay? And again, every day, every week, every month, there are going to be days and hours where something upsets you, something that you just didn't like happening that happened. So we're not going to go through this life of nobody's upset. We're all happy. We're all just, getting along together. That's just not going to happen. It's not our world. So something happens that upsets us. And then we get this urge because the urge is not saying so much, okay, I'm upset, so I'm going to eat. No, it's something upsets us and we say, I need something to make me feel better. I need something to make me relax, okay? And then we turn to something that's easy, that's probably around us all the time at our home. All we have to do is walk into the kitchen, or we go stop at a fast food or a quick store and grab something. And then once we start eating, we eat more than we should. One thing I've noticed about myself, when I go and get things, I have a tendency to get too much. Because if I'm there and I'm going to eat one thing, that's little, I might as well get 2, okay? Or I'll be intimidated, for lack of better words. If you buy one, you get the second one half price. Well, what the heck, you might as well get 2. And I'll save it for another time, but another time never happens because I go back to whatever that upset me. And that first one made me feel pretty good. So the second one makes me feel better simply because I was half price and I saved money. All right. We have a tendency to justify everything in our mind. So we eat more than we should. And then we go to that guilt feeling and that I don't have any control. I have no power over food. It doesn't matter what I do. I just can't control it. So if you look at that last one, the guilt feeling, now that's got you upset again. So what do? You look for something to make you feel better, okay? Which is go ahead and eat something else and then eat too much and then feel bad and get sick and maybe throw up and can't sleep because you ate too much and hasn't digested properly. And then we end up with constipation issues, and then we eat more, and it's a vicious cycle. Okay, so we have to understand that emotional hunger can't be resolved with eating food. What we have to do is we have to break free from the cycle. We have to learn how to distinguish between emotional and physical hunger. Okay, emotional and physical. Now, that's kind of difficult, because if we use food to deal with our feelings, it's automatic that that's what happens, and it just comes to us that I'm hungry, And I will tell you that if somebody sees you do this, and you say, and they say, hey, Harry or Mary or whoever it happens to be, why are you eating that? What do? We snap at them. We tell them, you know what, leave me alone. You know, I got enough problems. I don't need to hear you bug me about what I'm eating. And all that person is doing is trying to help you break that emotional eating and say, we really don't need to do it. So what happens is that person that's trying to guide or help you will back away and say, you know, it's not worth the argument. So we kind of become our own worst enemy, all right? So emotional hunger can be easily mistaken for physical hunger, okay? But there's different clues that you can look at to help you tell what is physical, what is emotional, all right? Emotional hunger comes on real suddenly. In other words, you weren't hungry at all. In fact, you felt great. And all of a sudden, it comes in an instant and feels overwhelming and urgent, okay? Now, physical hunger, on the other hand, comes on more gradually. You'll feel it. Like, you know, your stomach will rumble a little bit. You'll think in your mind, you know what, it's been a few hours since I've had anything to eat. It's past lunchtime or dinner time. But it's not that all of a sudden you just say, what do they call a hangry, okay? Hangry. And I'll tell a quick little story here about Patty, because I like to talk about other people, of course. When Patty first started working for me, I learned kind of quickly that she would get really hungry really quick. And when she was hungry, and I'm kind of the person, I can pretty much go all day without eating, okay? And she's always saying, did you eat lunch? Did you eat lunch? I go, no, I'm not hungry. How can you not be hungry? I go, well, I'm not hungry. And I would be saying, okay, let's do this, let's do that. And all of a sudden, she would just snap. If I don't eat, I can't function. And I'm like, whoa, okay, that's emotions, okay? That's emotions, because things were kind of piling on. We needed to do things, and I would be giving her things to do. What about this? What about that? And that emotion would just turn into that instant hunger, and she would snap. And if you've been around Patty much, you know when she snaps, you just step away because it's not safe, okay? Just kidding. Okay. Okay, but emotional hunger will come on suddenly, okay? Emotional hunger craves specific comfort foods. What do you think most of those foods are, really? Anybody want to take a wild guess? Most of the time it is sugar, okay? Carbs, high carbs. Even when people are trying to be good, bananas become huge. And when people say, I'm just going to eat fruit, I'm not going to, it'll be things that's high carb because it metabolizes into sugar, all right? So specific foods. And I can raise my hand on this one. There's been times when I just say, you know what, this back in my old days, but I just need to go and get a candy bar. Okay, I need it right now. There's no discussion about it. I need it, okay? Do we ever need candy bars, really? Snickers or anything? We don't ever need it. None of us are gonna die because we didn't get enough Snickers or chocolate. You can trust me on that one, okay? And emotional hunger leads to mindless eating. In other words, we just kind of pick and pick and pick. A good thing to do for people that have this issue is to journal, and journal everything that goes in your mouth, everything. Because a lot of times when people come in and they go, how can my body fat not go down? I'm not eating that much. And when I have them journal, they realize they're picking at little things and that they don't even think about it. Because what happens is it doesn't count because it's not sitting down. But we eat a lot of stuff in between the sit downs. And that's a lot of times what gets us in trouble because it's mindless. We're not even thinking about it, okay? And oftentimes people do things and they'll eat a whole bag of chips. Again, anybody ever gotten a bag of chips and said, I'm gonna have a few, and then the next thing you know, you're picking the crumbs out of the bottom? Okay, happens all the time because it's mindless. You're sitting there doing something else and you're eating because your mind is somewhere else. It's not about you, it's somewhere else. So emotional hunger isn't satisfied once you're full. You just keep on eating and then you become overly full, all right? And you become stuffed. And emotional hunger isn't located in the stomach. It's not about the stomach. It's about the mind. It's totally about what you're thinking and how you're trying to protect yourself. And this is a protection. As long as I have something that makes me feel good, I'm protected. And then we get back to the emotional hunger often leads to regret, guilt, or shame. And those are the kind of things when I do Zytos, and oftentimes I will look at different things like guilt will show up, different things, shame, remorse. And a lot of times it's about ourselves. In our mind, we're saying, I feel guilty what I'm doing to myself. Anybody ever thought that? Okay. What am I doing to myself? Why do I do this all the time? That becomes guilt or shame or embarrassment, etc. Because oftentimes we can start thinking, if I can't take care of me and fix this, how can I do anything else? And that's 100% true. And that's why we need to make changes, okay? So what we have to do is we have to look at the difference between emotional hunger versus physical hunger, okay? So kind of recap, emotional hunger comes on suddenly versus physical hunger, gradual. Emotional hunger feels like it needs to be satisfied right now, where physical hunger can wait. You know, if you're physically hungry, and most of us, if we look in the mirror at ourselves unclothed, we know that we're okay if we don't eat. Okay, we know it. All right. Deb there is on day 5 of liquid. Okay, she knows that she's fine. Okay, she's not going to die of starvation because she's not eating enough. Okay, because our body, most of us, carry a little extra fuel or insulation than what we need, so we're okay. All right. Emotional hunger craves specific comfort foods, where physical hunger is open to a lot of different things. Things sound good. You know, I could eat like this morning. I know I got up this morning for breakfast and I thought, what am I going to have? And I thought, you know what? I'm going to slice up some zucchini and saute it with a couple eggs. And it was fabulous. Okay. Where comfort foods or emotional hunger comes from, I need something that's going to boost that energy right now or make my brain feel better rather than my stomach. And then a full stomach isn't satisfied on emotions. A physical hunger stops when you're full. And then emotional hunger feels the guilt, where physical hunger doesn't make you feel bad about yourself. In fact, if you eat with physical hunger, you will actually feel good because you'll think, you know what, I ate good today. And every time we do the right thing, we feel good, right? And I don't care what it is in life. We do the right thing, we feel like, yeah, that was a battle I won. Okay, that's a good thing. And when it comes to eating, that we have to understand. Okay, so what are the causes of emotional eating? Okay, the first thing that everybody has to do to stopping it is to identify what are your triggers. What is the situation, the places, or the feelings that make you reach for the wrong food? Because most of it is linked to the unpleasant feelings, but it can be triggered by emotions. It can be triggered by reward or celebrations or sadness. Anything can cause emotional eating, okay? First and foremost is, which most of you could have guessed, stress. Now, is there anybody out there that has any stress? Okay, so I see Anna shaking her head. No, she has no stress, so this won't pertain to her, okay? But stress makes you hungry. Why? Because it takes so much energy. Stress just takes up a tremendous amount of energy. And it's not just your physical being, it's mostly in your mind. When stress becomes chronic, in other words, it's every day, whether it's a relationship, whether it's work, whether it's just life in general, watching the news too much, etc., then what happens is it becomes chronic and it's constant. We just can't get away from it. And what happens is our stress hormone, which is called cortisol, triggers cravings for things like salty, sweet, or fried food. Okay, let me repeat that. Salty, sweet, or fried. Anybody have any cravings for any of that? And none of you have stress. Good job. Okay. But that's what makes us gain a lot of belly fat. Okay. We say it's eating that food, but a lot of the times it's because of the stress, and the stress creates the release of cortisol, and then we crave the wrong foods. So it is a cycle that happens. The next one is stuffing emotions. Now, stuffing emotions. This is a tough one because nobody wants people to go around every day you come into work and say, you know what, Patty, you know what my problem is? I got so many problems, okay? She's got her own problems, okay? So, but we have to have an outlet. We have to be able to release our emotions. The people that carry it inside, never show their emotions, end up with things like heart attacks and strokes and different things like that much earlier in life. Several reasons, because they are emotional eaters. They hold everything inside, but to reward themselves and try to get the release, they do it through eating. And the food that they eat is not the food that they should be eating. So oftentimes they gain weight. Where do they gain it? In the abdomen, which creates a cardiovascular issue. And that, therefore we have those kind of problems, okay? You have to have an outlet. And what I tell everybody is, you know what? If you need to talk, you need to call. I can't fix your problems in all probability, but I can listen. And sometimes we need somebody that can listen, all right? Now, sometimes you say, well, you know, I've got my family. Sometimes your family knows you too well, or your family doesn't want to hear the problems. And sometimes you don't even want to tell your family the problems, okay? It's easier to tell somebody else. That's why people go to therapists all the time, because it's easier to tell somebody you don't know you're not going to see every day. But you got to have releasing. Oftentimes when we do the Zyto test, one of the things that comes up is tapping, okay? It's called emotional freedom technique, and it's called tapping. That helps to release the emotions from the brain. And anybody ever wants to know more about it, let us know. We can kind of guide you through it. It's kind of easy, and it's very effective. But you got to release the emotions. Think about a pot of water. You have the lid on, and you boil it. Something's going to go. Okay. If you don't release it, the steam it's going to explode. And in the human body, that's the last thing in this world we want to have happen. All right. So we need to release boredom or feelings of emptiness. A lot of times this comes with breakup a relationship. You know, sometimes somebody passes away. You know, we get this feeling of emptiness, and we try to replace that feeling with something that makes us feel good. So if you had a parent or a spouse or a child or a good friend that's no longer with us, oftentimes, you know, we're missing that, and we get bored because we were in a routine before, and or even a loss of a job. What we're going through in the pandemic, so many people have spent so much time not working. There was a feeling of emptiness. You know, what do I do with myself? I'm bored. There's nothing to do. And so we use that emotion to satisfy. So we have to understand that we've got to find other things that we can do that'll occupy our time. Habits, childhood habits especially, okay? How many of you can look back at your childhood and say, you know what? There were some things happened in my childhood that still is in my subconscious. As for an example, I was extremely thin as a child. I mean, to the point of ridiculous. People would tell me your skin and bones, that's all you have to gain weight. So I used to eat and eat and eat. In fact, any leftovers would be put on my plate and said, you sit there until you eat it because you have to eat. That created a habit for me. And I'm not blaming anybody, but that's what it is. If there's food, I want to eat it. That's why I won't go to a buffet, because I will eat way too much at a buffet because the food is there, and in my brain, it's there, it looks good, I want it, I'm going to eat it, okay? But that's childhood habits. And that is one of the harder things to break because it's in our subconscious. And what we have to do is we have to get away from the idea that we can't go back to what we were as children. We're going to gain weight faster, we're going to maintain it longer, and it's going to do much more damage to us. So we have to realize that as an adult, as we age, and our immune system becomes weaker, we cannot do the things. But that is one of the things. So we have to break that habit as well and understand where it's coming from. This one, social influences. I kind of mentioned this before. We go out with somebody and we have all the good intentions of behaving, but they are there, we're out wherever, they're ordering, they're getting things, and it's, oh, come on, Daddy, just come on, loosen up, you've been on this diet way too long. Enjoy life. Life is short. We get sucked into that and we realize, or we start thinking that, you know what? Yeah, come on. I need to enjoy life. What we have to do is we have to say no. We have to learn to say no. Okay? We raise our kids and we say no. Say no to your friends about drugs. We say no to your friends about staying out too late. But yet, when it comes to us and eating, we, as adults, we fall right into that trap. And somebody says, let's have hors d'oeuvres and let's have this and let's have that. And we just do it because we want to make them happy rather than making ourselves happy. And when we go home, we're done with the evening or whatever it might be, the picnic or something, then we beat ourselves up and it goes all the way back to that circle, feeling guilty. Why did I do it? I didn't need to do it. I don't feel well. I gained some weight. Nothing is going to work for me because we gave in to everybody else except ourselves, okay? We have to learn to take care of ourselves first. We have to learn the power of saying, no, thank you, okay? I don't need it. Enjoy yourself. I'm not judging you for doing it, but for me, I'm not going to do it, and I hope you don't judge me for it, okay? So that's the thing that we have to do with social influencing because it is hard. So what we need to do is we need to keep an emotional eating diary, okay? Diaries are wonderful. Journaling is fabulous. Why? Because you see what you're doing and you can see trends. So think about this. If we only think about what we ate yesterday, we forget about the day before. We just think about what we ate today, we forgot about yesterday. And people will say, I've been really good. Okay, how long you been good? Today. Oh, well, how about the day before and the day before? Well, not so much, but now I'm being good. Okay. What you have to do is you have to find out what makes you do the things you do that you don't want to do. Okay. Who is it in your life that triggers that? And I'm not saying you have to get rid of people. I'm saying you have to change your behavior and start thinking that when you're with those people, you have to be thinking, okay, this is one of my triggers. Okay. Therefore, I'm not going to do this. Again, I'll give you an example. When I was in the Air Force, I had a very, very good friend. His name was Bill. Bill loved to drink beer, loved it. And But he was the kind of guy that was, come on, let's just go have one. Well, in his life, because I later found out he had a severe drinking problem, one never was one. Never. And you could not get away. So the only way I could do it was, first of all, if I went with him, tell him I'm driving and I'm not drinking at all. Or number two, not go. Just say no, thank you. And after a while, the good news is he did quit drinking. That's a wonderful thing, okay? But, and his sister actually passed away from alcoholism. And it took him a few more years after that to finally give it up. But we're all around people that have these things and they want to bring us into them, with them, because if they're going to feel guilty, they would like us to feel guilty with them, okay? But we have to step back and not partake in that. So every time you overeat or feel compelled to reach for your version of comfort food, okay, take a moment to figure out what triggered the urge. Just think, okay, why, what is making this happen? Is it the person? Is it boredom? Is it a stress? What is it that's making that happen? And then work on changing that, rather than saying, I'm not going to eat Snickers bars anymore. That doesn't work. You have to find out what is making you want to eat that. So if you write it all down in your food and mood diary, what you ate or wanted to eat, what happened to upset you at that time, and you might not even realize that it comes together until after a little while of doing this, and you can look back and say, every time this happens, I do this, or I want to do this, okay? So you'll see the pattern emerge, and maybe, like I said, you'll find out that every time you're with a certain person, you do this. Every time you go to a church function, you do this. Every time you whatever, you do this or that, okay? We find it helpful for people to come into us in our office and get on our Tanita machine. Why? Because people start thinking, I have to go in there and I don't want to get on that machine and see really bad numbers. So that forces people to say, okay, whatever it takes, that's what we need to do to protect ourselves, okay? Because I'm going to tell you, most of us, me included, I can't do it by myself, okay? I need support. I need to be thinking about it. I need to be doing the things that, and once you start doing the right thing, that right thing becomes easy, all right? So Deb and Patty will tell you for the last couple of weeks, every day I come in with a cucumber and tomatoes, and that's my lunch. And I'm really enjoying it, okay? I look forward to having my lunch. Where there was a day in my life where I looked forward to the burgers and the French fries and the Diet Coke, okay? I mean, that was my go get it, all right? Now it's the fresh veggies. It's just because I've gotten in my head that that is what makes me feel good. And that's what we have to do. We have to start identifying our emotional triggers, and then we have to identify the healthier ways to feed those feelings that we have, okay? The other thing that we need to do when we come to the diary, if you have the junk in your house, guess what you're going to eat? Junk. If you have the healthy foods in your house, you're going to eat healthy. If you have them both, you're going to have a tendency to go to the junk before you go to the good. So you have to do what? Get rid of the junk. It's got to be gone. And don't tell me, well, my husband, my wife, my kids like it, so therefore I have to have it and buy it for them. No. Okay, if you want to take care of yourself and take care of the people around you, you need to bring in the healthy stuff. If they want the bad stuff, let them go feel guilty and buy it and bring it in and eat it. Okay? Don't be an accomplice. As Dr. Nelson would say, you're being an accomplice. Okay? Don't do it. Okay. So we have to find other ways, okay, obviously, things that don't involve food, all right? What can you do to make yourself feel good? When it's not raining or whatever, how many of you enjoy going for a walk? If you get your mind away from the food or whatever it is that you're using to make you feel good, you will get away from it if you separate yourself for just a little while, okay? You have to find other ways to fulfill your emotional needs. So you have to have other things to do. So let's say somebody likes to knit, and they say, you know what, I just would like some, but first let me do a couple of rows of knitting. Now I don't know anything about knitting, so maybe but do 10 minutes of knitting or take a walk for 10 minutes. Your mind will change. But if you sit there in the kitchen looking in the refrigerator and the cabinet, that's what's going to occupy your mind. If you do something else that's away from it, and then you don't eat that emotional food, you're going to have a feeling of victory, success. I won. I did the right thing. And that makes us feel good, which keeps us away from doing the wrong thing. Because if you do the right thing and you say, congratulations, John, you did the right thing. We say it subconsciously in our mind to ourselves. And then I turn around and eat the Snickers bar. That's not going to happen because I'm so proud of myself for not doing what I really wanted to do. I'm not going to sabotage myself. Okay. So we have to find a way to say, what can I do to get away from that? Okay. And that's hugely important. Okay. If you're depressed or lonely, call someone. Talk to them. Okay. You don't necessarily have to talk. And I really don't want you to talk out to them about what made you depressed because it might make them depressed. Okay. Then you're both eating. Okay. So talk to them about something else. Talk about something that you did in the past that made you feel good. Talk about, memories that you have about something. Play with your cat, your dog. Take them for a walk, whatever the case is. Okay. If you feel anxious and you have feeling like panic or something, turn on your radio and to the station you like to listen to and just dance around the house. Who cares? If you're overly tired, treat yourself with some tea or take a bath. Okay, candles. Lie down and just get yourself really comfortable away from the food. People that are bored, read a book, watch something comedy, go for a walk, find a hobby that you like to do, woodworking, playing the guitar, going out and getting some exercise, scrapbooking, different things that you can do that just takes your mind away from that need to fulfill that instant gratification right now. But you've got to plan this ahead of time because if you wait till the emotion is on top of you, you're not going to think about, let me start scrapbooking. Okay. You need to think of something now and have it ready because we all know we're going to go through stress. There's not one of us that by the end of the day tomorrow is not going to say they had something that bothered them or a little bit of stress here and there, maybe some big stress, but you got to be ready for it. All right. Because you can't try to figure it out once you're under the stress. Okay, how am I doing for time? Good. Okay, I'm doing good. I like to hear that. Okay. All right. So pause when cravings hit and check in with yourself. Take 5 before you give into a craving. Okay. So put off eating for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I think there's a song, something like that, 5 minutes. Maybe some of you have heard it. Okay. Okay. Probably not getting the feedback from that, but I know there is. Indulge without overeating. Eat the veggies. You're still going to crave some of that food, but you're going to be full. If you say to yourself, once I'm full, I don't eat, you're not going to eat the bad food. Okay. This time of year is wonderful for starting that out because all the fresh veggies and fruit and stuff like that. While you're waiting, check in with yourself. What does that mean? Okay. Checking in with yourself. Just basically say, what do I need? Or do I need that? And then learn to accept your feelings, even the bad ones. Okay? Anybody who says they shouldn't acknowledge the bad feelings, the down feelings, the bad moods, is wrong. We're all going to be in bad moods. We're all going to do things, say things, act a certain way that we later on wish we hadn't. but we can't always run around beating ourselves up, because when we do, we're going to turn to something that makes us feel better, and it's not going to be the appropriate thing for our body. All right. So accept your feelings. You know, feeling uncomfortable with your emotions can be scary, and you can fear it. All right. Oftentimes, people say that, you know, like Pandora's box, once you open the door, you won't be able to shut it. But the truth is that when you don't obsess over or suppress your emotions, even the most painful and difficult feelings subside relatively quickly. They go away. You've all heard that saying, give it a few minutes and then it'll change. That's true. If we just take a little bit of time, bite your tongue, don't respond right now, wait a little bit, it'll go away, and you'll realize, you know what? I didn't need to say it, do it, whatever. It's no big deal. All right. And a lot of us, instead of checking it at the door or checking ourselves and taking the 5, what we do is we right away come back with something that makes everything worse. And then, of course, we've got to make ourselves feel good. All right. All right. Okay. Indulge without overeating by savoring your food. What do I mean? Okay. Practice eating mindfully. When you eat, watching TV, driving, that's one thing I've always been a bad habit. Even driving from the West Hartford office today to here, I'm eating cherries, okay? And I keep opening the window, throwing the pit out the window, and Patty called me, and I started to answer. She goes, "You have cotton in your mouth?" I go, "No, I got cherries." Okay, so I have a bad habit. When I drive, I want to eat. Why? Because I'm bored, and it's like dead time. It's like, okay, if I'm driving, and I know it's in my subconscious, I'm driving, and it's dead time, I might as well eat while I'm driving. Okay. The problem is, oftentimes we eat the wrong things. Now, I'm not going to feel guilty about eating cherries, but probably I need to work on not getting out of my mind that when I drive, I need to eat. Okay. Working on that. Hasn't went real well, but at least I'm in cherries and veggies instead of the other stuff. Okay. What happens is when your mind is elsewhere, you'll have a tendency not to feel satisfied, or you'll keep on eating. That goes back to the bag of chips you have sitting on the sofa or the chair when you're eating. You're watching TV, and the next thing you know, the bag's empty. Okay. Because we're not thinking, we're thinking about what we're watching or the conversation we're having rather than what we're doing to ourselves. So you need to eat mindfully so that you can help to focus your mind on your food rather than something else, and just keep on eating. And once you're done eating, you are done eating. Okay. People have a tendency to drag it out. Okay. The leftovers are sitting on the stove somewhere. Go have another piece of this, or a little bit more of this, put a little bit more in the plate, etc. Unless it's veggies, don't do it. Okay. If you're going to do it, and while you're trying to break the habit, let it be vegetables. All right. Because we got to curb the overeating, the need to overeat, because it becomes a habit. We want to eat, we want to overeat, etc. Okay. Let's habits. We need to support ourselves with healthy lifestyle habits. So when you're physically strong, relaxed, and well rested, okay, well rested. Some of the people on here can relate to that. We're never well rested because we're constantly stressed. All right. You have to be rested mentally and physically to be able to handle what life throws at us. If you're already exhausted all the time and overwhelmed, any little thing will set you off. Anything. It doesn't matter how little. Your spouse can say one thing and it triggers something in your subconscious, and boom, you're off. Okay. So you have to understand we got to get the rest. We have to use exercise, sleep, and because exercise all by itself, it's okay, but it's not the end all. Sleep all by itself is not the end all. It's everything: eating, exercise, sleep, positive thinking, positive affirmations. That's why we want people, when they come into our office, take a positive affirmation, put it in their pocket, keep it. Most people take it, read it, oh, that really pertains to me, throws it back in the pile. That's your thought, that's your affirmation, something to put your mind somewhere else, okay? Make daily exercise a priority. It doesn't have to be in the gym, and you don't have to bench press 200 pounds. You just have to get movement, okay? You have to get a little bit of movement and know that you get your cardiovascular system moving, because that releases endorphins. And when you release endorphins, you calm stress. You have to work towards getting 8 hours of sleep every night. There's one person on here tonight that is telling me they're sleeping better. But 2 weeks ago, every time I would call and talk to her, oh boy, okay, because she was so tired, not sleeping, and it's so hard when you don't sleep. We have to work at sleep, because without sleeping properly, we can't control anything, because we're so exhausted, and our brain is saying just find something that will get some energy. All right. And so we have to understand working towards and healing our body so we can sleep is one of the most important things there is. Make time for relaxation. Do you know anybody who doesn't do that? A lot of people don't take time for themselves. Okay. You need, and going home and crashing in bed is not taking time for relaxation. That is your rest and energy, to restore energy. Take 30 minutes every day to relax, decompress, and unwind. It's not sitting around thinking about all your problems. It is time for you to think about all the good things that you have in your life, your family, your friends, your health, us. How was that? All those good things, okay? Things that you take a break and get away from all those responsibilities and time to recharge your batteries. I was talking to a lady the other day, won't say a name, but she said she works even when she's home, she turns on her laptop and works. You know what? You're going to kill yourself, okay? Work is work, but when you're done work, go home and relax. Give yourself permission to relax and take it easy and do the things that you need to do. If it's to do nothing, do nothing. Relax. Take deep breaths, okay? And then connect with others. And one of the things we're having a problem with right now with this pandemic is we're away from our good friends. Sometimes many of our family members that we want to be with, okay? So, but when you're with people, they've got to be positive. If you're in a relationship that isn't positive and you can get away from it for a little while, get away from it, okay? Work with the other person to change if you're going to stay with it. But you got to be with positive people. Just like the social issues we talked about earlier, if you're with people that always want to eat wrong, we have a problem that way. But if you're with people that are negative, you're going to be negative. Be positive, okay? Be with positive people. Get rid of the negative people in your life, okay? I can't stress that enough. Get rid of the negativity. There's too much negativity everywhere we look. We don't have to surround ourselves with people, friends, and family that are totally negative, okay? So please be positive and find positive friends, okay? All right. Those are a lot of the ways that we can help ourselves about it, but we have to do it. Nobody can do it for us. We have to do it. Questions, thoughts? Give me some ideas. Take yourself off mute if you want. Ask a question. Anybody ask questions? Okay, who's going to be the first?
Kim.
Go ahead, Kim.
Mike.
I have a question related to my last Dido. The supplements that you need to take with food. And I am in the habit of taking them first thing in the morning and right before I go to bed. Calcium in there. So I know it's late, but how much food necessarily is enough food? Like, can I just have an apple or something to make sure that that's on food before I go to bed and that's okay?
Minimum food, very, very minimum. You don't need much food when it says with food. Just helps it absorb better, that's all. Most of it you could take without food, okay? There are some supplements that have the same ingredient that's in the body wrap, which is niacin. Oh my, thank you. Niacin, okay? So we tell people to take it with food because we don't, sometimes you'll get a niacin flush, and
Yeah,
sometimes that scares people. So if you take it with food, you won't get the niacin flush. That's the only reason that we suggest people take it with food.
Okay.
You can take it without food.
Okay.
All right, John.
Yes.
What about for the bad breath? You told me the Toms, take the Toms, and I've been doing that, and it's still not working.
Okay, give it some time. Give it some time. Bad breath is one of two things: gastrointestinal or teeth. Okay, one or the other. Okay, so if your gastrointestinal system's right, you might want to also do what we call oil flushing, huh? Oil pulling, oil flushing, oil pulling.
You told me
I'm
that.
talking way too much.
Coconut oil?
Yeah, coconut oil, swish it through. Because
Yeah.
sometimes if you get a lot of bacteria up in your teeth, up in the gums, that'll create halitosis, which is what create bad breath, okay? So
Right.
bad breath is going to come from one of those two things: gastrointestinal or teeth and gum issues.
Okay, thanks.
If you need those instructions on the oil pulling, Mike, I can send that to you.
Yeah, if you can do that, Patty, that'd be good.
I will do that.
Thank
We'll
you.
do that. We'll do that in the corporate sense.
I will do that.
Can you use something other than coconut oil? He's not fond of coconut so much.
No, that's all right. I mean, I'll do it.
You're not swallowing it. You're just swishing it through your mouth and spitting it out. Don't swallow it.
Taste it.
Oh,
But that's all right. I'm okay with that.
okay. Pull up those trousers and you'll be fine. Okay, who else? Who else got a question?
Anna
Anna.
has a question.
I bought that sleep from you, but it's not working. What am I doing wrong? It
Okay,
doesn't let me sleep.
Do you really want me to tell you what you're doing wrong?
Go ahead.
Loaded question, Anna.
You stay way too stressed, Anna, okay? You have to start some of the things I talked about, especially in the end part, okay? Taking time for yourself, getting some exercise. The sleep will come. So sometimes people zero in on one thing, okay? One thing, I need to sleep. But a lot of times it's many other things. It's what you're eating, when you're eating, your mindset. It's the people you're around. It's all those things that's keeping you from sleeping. So what we want is we want something that will make us sleep. And that is why companies that make sleeping pills makes a fortune, okay? Because it knocks you out. And people say, well, at least I'm not awake. Okay, all right, I understand that. And I understand what happens when we can't sleep. But we have to fix the other parts of our life in order for the sleep to come. So the sleep, the melatonin, and sometimes people take more and more and more. Well, the problem is there's other things that's creating that not to happen, okay? So I'm going to tell you, Anna, and being you asked me what you're doing wrong, you're staying way too stressed. You've got to start taking more time for yourself. You've got to start letting things go and not worrying about everything. There are some people that I know that try to fix every problem that is known to mankind, okay? The Maureen, I'm not looking right at you, but just in case, okay? And we've talked about this. Some people try to fix everything. You can't fix it. Let it go. Learn to say no. Learn to say I can't, okay? Because what's happening, you are destroying yourself. And then when you try to go to bed and go to sleep, your body is so uptight that nothing short of a hammer upside the head is going to knock you out. It just won't work. So you got to work on other things and quit worrying about the sleep and work on other things. Okay? Who else?
Nancy,
Nancy.
good to see you.
Yeah, same here.
the other thing that, why am I reverberating here? Is it me? I don't know.
Must be.
Okay. One of the things that I have recently been working on is sleep. To help me sleep better is sleep hygiene. And I've learned that no matter what you take, it's really important to develop a schedule for sleep and a routine, just like you would for anything else. Pick a time at the same time every night and start winding down, shut down your electronics. When you go upstairs, it's to sleep. It actually takes me quite a while, but the more I get into that routine, it seems that that's helping just as much, even more than whatever I might be taking, whether it be the melatonin or what, to help me sleep. And I'm starting to sleep better.
Good for you.
That's excellent advice, okay? We have to, because think about this, life is a pattern, okay? Life is a routine. And when we get out of our routine, what happens? We get all messed up, okay? I mean, I always tell this, I have a routine when I get up, when I exercise, when I read my scripture, when I brush my teeth, when I shave, it's all got to be in an order. If somehow one of them gets out of order, I'm liable to forget to shave, okay? I mean, because it's not in the order I did it. And I know I'm a type A personality, and things have to be a certain way for me. But Nancy's 100% right. You have to unwind. If you're going 100 miles an hour, whether you're worrying, you're thinking, you're trying to do things right, and then set it down and jump into bed, odds are you're not going to sleep very well. Okay? It doesn't work that way. Our body has to calm and relax and start to go into that relaxation. And just like when you go to sleep, you don't go into a deep sleep right away. You go into a sleep pattern, and then you go into REM sleep. And then when you come out of it, you come out of it gently. That's why when people get awakened and startled, a lot of times your day isn't good the rest of the day because you didn't come out of your sleep the proper way, okay? So Nancy's 100% right. You have to take care of yourself and get into a pattern. And sometimes you can't because, if you have relatives coming or you visitors and things happening, but for the most part, you want to do that. You also want to, I found, get in a habit of every so often changing the linen, doing those kind of things, and make that just a feeling of cleanliness, feeling good, all that stuff. Get in a habit and do that, and that will help as well. Who else?
Deb had her hand up.
Deb.
Sorry, Deb. There, oh, sorry, my fault. Do it again. I was clicking.
There we go. Hi, everybody. So I loved when Nancy was talking, it made me realize, because I was going through a thing where I couldn't sleep either, and I had the Tranquility, the calcium, the sleep supplement, the tea, and I was practicing the breathing exercises, and it had turned into a thing for me, a mental thing, and I created stress trying to do all this like rigid program, and got myself more stressed out. And lately I've been trying just to forget about it all. I'll enjoy a cup of the night tea before bed, and I've been sleeping awesome. Except for the other night when we heard a loud noise at 3 in the morning, but I had no problem going back to sleep. So I just realized that I think in my mind, I had created a cycle where it was working, going, okay, now you're going to sleep. And I was praying, going, please God, let me sleep, and got myself worked up over it. So
One other thing too, I might suggest, people that have trouble sleeping, look and see when the last time you detoxed. Keep your journal, and you'll find when you detox, most people, when you detox, you're going to start sleeping better. Okay? Clean body, clean bed, clean everything, you will relax better. Okay?
and then I had one thing about stress eating or comfort foods. My absolute new favorite comfort food, I take a giant portobello mushroom and I season it with a little Bragg's liquid aminos, and we grill that. And my husband and my sister-in-law had grilled burgers, and I had my portobello mushroom that was grilled on big thick slabs of lettuce. It was so good. And I'm telling you, throw a slice of tomato on that and some thin sliced red onion, and your eyes will roll back in your head. I did not miss having a burger at all.
Good.
Good. Okay, who else?
Yeah, Judy's got her hand up.
Judy?
Yeah, hi, John and Patty. I just noticed with the technology, like the phone and the computer makes me really tired if I'm on it too long. And I, I know it's the balance, but then I'll end up, staying on the phone. I have no problem falling asleep, but then I'll stay on it because I get stuck on it with podcast or what have you. It's just a bad habit. So that's one thing, but the other thing is the sun, if I go outside for too long. So I think that's just awareness, right, of balancing all that. The sun, causing more fatigue.
No, the
going
sun
to the
should
beach for the
actually
day.
create relaxation. Okay?
Yeah,
The sun is vitamin D. Although hot sun, you're not going to get a lot of vitamin D. Most of the time for vitamin D, relaxation, if you truly want to relax in the evening, sit in the sun as the sun is just about to set, facing the sun. Let the sun hit your face gently, not the hot sun, but just as it's setting, that will actually calm and relax you. Okay, so
Okay.
sun, now if you overdo sun, yes, okay, but the first part of your question was electronics. I'm going to tell you that electronics and all of our technology has destroyed our sleeping patterns. Okay, destroyed it. Many reasons. Number one, all the rays from all the computers and the phones and all the stuff has harmed us. If you're sleeping with your cell phone next to you, get rid of it. People tell me all the time, well, I do it because that's my alarm. Put it across the room, you'll still hear it, okay? If you can't hear it across the room, you're probably dead, so it doesn't matter, all right? So move it away from you. We're on computers all the time, laptops, our cars are electronically run. I mean, it's ridiculous what happens, okay? That's another reason for detoxing regularly, believe it or not. It's not just about food. So what I'm going to tell you is, if people that sit on the computers right until bedtime or their phones, going through Facebook all the time and then think you're going to put it down, first of all, your brain is working, thinking about all the stuff that's on it. You're watching news flashes, all this stuff, all the bad things happening. We can't relax. Okay, you got to get rid of that and shut it down.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that to the forefront. Yeah, thank
Yes.
you.
You're
Makes
welcome.
sense.
Jane, did you have a question? Did I see your hand up? No? Okay. Who else has a question? Georgiana, do you have a question? No?
Iris?
Iris, did you have a question? Don't be bashful. I think, go ahead, Iris. What's your question?
No.
Okay. Anything else? Carol Dunn, I haven't heard from you. Carol Holt, I haven't heard from you.
Nancy, do you have another question?
Ann, we haven't heard from Ann. Georgiana, go ahead.
Do you do a food journal?
Do I?
Yes.
I used to. I don't anymore. 'Cause I'm pretty happy with the way I'm eating as far as that goes and the way I've been maintaining. For me, lately, I've been detoxing every month. In fact, I'm starting pre-cleanse on Sunday. So I've been doing it every month. And I find that doing that has really helped me. And I plan, even when this is over, if it ever gets over, I plan on continuing that because I just feel better and it controls things, my brain, my cravings, it controls it much better. And I know that I'm 3 or 4 weeks into it. I can already feel myself wanting some other things I don't the first couple of weeks. So, but I don't write it, but I did for a long time. I know Patty, you did for quite some time. Had a journal for a long time. It helps when you journal, but not just food, but your activities, okay? Your activities, because your activities and your emotions affect what you eat. So if you can track everything, seems like a pain. A lot of times people say, I am too busy for that. But you know what? If you do it, and then you have something to make your mind realize that this causes this, rather than why am I doing this, then a lot of times we can eliminate this because we change what's happening over here. So, but no, I don't.
Nancy had another question.
Nancy?
Oops. Okay. I was actually going to say something about journaling. You can't change what you're not aware of. So journaling is extremely important. It's not necessarily how long you keep it. It's more of awareness. And awareness is 55% of any solution, or for a solution for what we want to do. So if we journal for a week, you know, what we're eating, what we're drinking, how we're feeling when we're, you know, what causes us to eat, you know, emotion wise, what our activity is. If you do it because you want to encourage yourself to make changes, then you do it for that period of time. It's not necessarily something that you have to do the rest of your life. But let's say that you wanted to pick something up, you know, you kept the journal, you made the changes, and now you're maintaining pretty well. There may be another time in your life where you want to make some changes or things you're backsliding. Then you keep the journal again to increase your awareness so that you know what you need to change. That's what I wanted to say about journaling.
That's good.
I really like what you just started out with, okay? And you can't change
What you're not aware of.
what you're not aware of. That is
Mhm.
brilliant, okay?
Perfect.
Because, you know, the reason as soon as you said that, and Patty started writing it right away, I didn't even look at each other. We both knew that was something. Here's the thing. I've done a lot of coaching in my life, okay? Sports. And I always tell people that I try to coach, you have to be told what you're doing wrong in order to make it right, to be able to do it right. But a lot of times we're on our own. So that's brilliant. That's the best reason I think I've ever heard for journaling. Okay. Write it down so that you can see what you're doing. All right. Keep it, think about it a little bit, and then change. It'll gradually change, because we all know that if you write something down, you're much more apt to remember it than if you just say, okay, I heard it, I saw it, and therefore it's there. Okay. If you write it down, that buries it much more in your brain. All right. So I really did thank you, Nancy. Okay. That was excellent. Okay. I hope everybody heard that. You can't change what you're
Not aware of.
not aware of. You can't change what you're not aware of. Okay. Great. So who else has something?
Judy, you have another question?
Yes, I do. Thanks. John, you were just talking about doing a monthly detox. So, you know, if let's say somebody does it every 2 months and they do, you know, 5-6 days of liquids each time because they want to do more of a heavy detox, are you not supposed to take your other supplements again when you're doing the liquids? Is that important? Because if
No,
you're
it's not.
doing it more frequently, you're going to lose the effect of the other supplements, you know, if you're doing
No.
lots.
No, you don't lose the effect. It's just that when you're detoxing, your body's at total rest, and all the fluids you're drinking, water is a leacher, so it washes everything out. So it's just a matter of you're probably not getting all the benefits of the nutrients. It certainly doesn't harm the detox itself. It's just that if you don't take them while you're on liquid, you don't have to buy them as often.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Who else?
Thank you.
Carol, did you have?
Carol, I
something?
think Carol had a question. Carol Holt.
Yes, I have trouble with the eating and bedtime. Sometimes if I'm eating at 6 o'clock or 6:30, then by the time I go to bed, my stomach's growling, I can't calm down, and that's around 11:30 or midnight. So I try to drink a big cup of water first, and if that doesn't work, then I have some nuts. But I don't want to eat right before I lay down, so I'm not sure what to do.
Okay. Great question. Okay. And I think a lot of us have the same issue. Okay. First of all, do you feel, and anybody can answer this, I'm not, Carol, you don't have to answer, but do you feel that if you don't eat, you won't sleep?
Well, it's proven.
It's soothing. Okay.
No, it's proven. I don't,
For you, it's proven?
yeah, because I would say, no, I'm okay. I had dinner. It was 6 hours ago, I'm fine. And I lay down and go to sleep, then tossing and turning. And then it's 3 o'clock in the morning. So I try more water. And then it's just now I'm up at 4:30 in the morning eating nuts.
Okay, so I'm going to be honest with you. You've trained your body to want to eat that time of night. Okay, we train ourselves to do that. Okay, now I'll use me as an example. I never, ever, ever used to eat breakfast. Never. I wouldn't eat breakfast. Okay, get up, get ready, go to work. And I would go, and Patty will tell you, even when you were working, I would go till 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That was trained. And once I decided, okay, enough, okay, I started eating breakfast. Now I need to eat breakfast in the morning, but I don't need to eat later in the day. But it's trained. But in order to get rid of it, you're going to have to go through a period of time that you're working your way out of that habit. Okay, so it is a habit, and it's hard to get out of the habit, and your body is fighting you just like everything else. You know, when people drink coffee and they say, I can't give up coffee, it's because we're trained our body that needs the caffeine, period. Okay, and it's hard to give it up. But once you give it up, people go, I don't need it. Yeah, because you trained your body not to need it. Okay, so it's the same thing. The worst time you can eat is late at night or during the night. Why? Because your body has to digest. And when your body is digesting, breaking down those nuts and everything, okay, it takes away from your sleep and your rest, because your body can't go into total rest because it's of the digestion. So you're not getting proper sleep, even though you think it's helping you sleep. It's really detrimental to your sleep. It sounds like an oxymoron, I know, but that's what's happening. Because you can't put something in your body and tell your body, don't digest this, just let it sit there until I wake up in the morning. Okay, it's not the way the body works. So it's gonna start digesting. Your colon's working, stomach is working, everything's working. And here you are trying to sleep, but you're not gonna get the rest. Even though you think you're sleeping, you're not getting as good a rest as you're supposed to.
So what amount of time do you recommend not eating before you lay down?
Oh, at least 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours. Okay, but you can train yourself to get there. But it's hard because we do this forever and ever and ever, and then all of a sudden we say don't do it, and our body goes, I don't think so. Okay, so our body has a mind of its own, believe me. So that is hard.
Carol, you're getting a Zyto tomorrow, so that's going to
Yeah.
enlighten some things, I'm sure.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, well, that's private, so.
Who's that?
Something in there.
Okay. And I'll answer your question one-on-one, okay? Okay.
Nancy, you had something else?
Yeah, you're triggering a lot of good things, John. You had talked about your body gets into a certain way of doing something. It's a habit. And research has actually shown that it takes at least 3 weeks for your brain to compute that you're making a change and to create a new habit.
Mhm.
Right.
Actually, a lot of studies say 4 weeks, 28 days.
Yeah.
And that's why really our minimum programs, minimum is 30 days. Okay, because it takes time to change. The mind is so powerful, okay, that it's so hard to change that. So you're right. Who else? It's a good conversation. I like this.
7 o'clock. Wow, we went long.
Oh, yeah, Patty made this go long. I'm sorry. Okay, anybody else have anything? Okay, so Carol, I'm gonna go back to you real quick. If you're going to have something to eat while you're training your body not to, use the instant meals because it's easily digested, and mix it with water, not the almond milk, okay? Because almond milk is a little bit more difficult to break down, but the instant meals will digest very, very rapidly, all right? So and plus it's protein, which is amino acids, which amino acids can also help you to sleep, all right? But you got to get it in your bloodstream quickly. That's the thing. So I just wanted to add that to it. Because just to tell you don't do it from now on is kind of hard, okay? But So there's the little things that you kind of work your way into too. All right. Okay, anybody else? Okay, our special, before I forget, all of our supplements